Look at Table 2 in the source file. Since 1994, your $1 has lost over 49% of its value.
Right.
And in that exact same window, global banking revenue exploded 500% to $5.5 trillion.
It's pure thermodynamics.
Yeah.
You aren't earning.
No, you are being harvested to maintain a failing wall of trust. Welcome to the deep dive. We are pulling you directly into a highly classified feeling intelligence briefing today.
It's titled, Filling the Security Holes of Trust with Mathematical Physical Force.
And our mission today is to translate this dense, highly technical document into something you can actually use to defend your assets.
Because the Mac doesn't care about your feelings.
Exactly. I want to jump straight into the security hole doctrine. The briefing centers entirely on a guy named Nick Szabo.
Right, Szabo. He operates in this incredibly rare space. He holds a Juris Doctor, so he understands the history of human law.
And he's a brilliant computer scientist.
Which is the lethal combination here. In the mid-90s, he looked at traditional finance and diagnosed a fatal flaw. He wrote to the cypherpunk mailing list, quote, "Trusted third parties are security holes."
I want to break that down for the listener, because when you and I hear the word trust, we think of a virtue, like I trust my neighbor.
But in computer science, trust is a massive vulnerability. It is a point of failure. When you trust a bank, an escrow agent, or a clearinghouse, you are relying on human caprice.
And humans make mistakes, or they get greedy.
Or they get hacked. The briefing points out that in 2024 alone, the system generated $14 billion in non-compliance fines.
$14 billion.
$14 billion. That is the literal tax you pay for relying on human intermediaries. Szabo saw this inefficiency and designed a way out. In 1994, he conceptualized smart contracts.
The digital vending machine.
Exactly.
I love this analogy from the text. So think about walking up to a vending machine. You don't negotiate with it. You don't hire a lawyer to interpret the terms of getting a soda.
You put the coin in. That is the input. You press a button, the execution.
And the machine dispenses the drink. It's an automated, locked, if-then logic loop. If coin is deposited, then dispense item.
And Szabo realized that if you could apply that rigid, unfeeling vending machine logic to all of global finance, you would permanently end human caprice. No more clerks delaying your wire transfer. No more lawyers taking a cut.
Well, wait, this is exactly the bridge point. The text argues that while the masses are out there blindly chasing price action on a screen, the elite 1% are already moving. They are shifting their wealth from state benevolence to mathematical physical force.
The exact ramparts Nick Szabo designed before Satoshi Nakamoto even appeared.
Right, so let's get into the physics of this. Because Szabo knew you couldn't build a digital vending machine using fiat money. You needed a native digital asset.
Which brings us to Table 1 in the briefing, the concept of bit gold from 2005.
4 years before Bitcoin.
Right. Szabo understood that fiat money paper dollars, euros, they cost nothing to create. A central bank pushes a button and boom, inflation. But physical gold is different.
It has what the text calls unforgeable costliness.
Yes. You have to burn diesel fuel, you have to move physical earth, you have to run refineries. That physical thermodynamic cost creates inherent scarcity. Szabo wanted to digitally replicate that exact physical limitation.
How do you make data physically heavy?
By forcing computers to solve wildly complex cryptographic puzzles. To mine a digital coin, the computer has to burn real-world electricity and spend real-world time.
So he had it figured out in 2005, but BitGold never actually launched. Why?
Because of the decentralized time server problem. He hit a brick wall called double spending.
I want to make sure the listener really gets this part. Digital data is infinitely copyable, right? Like sending an email.
Exactly. If I have a digital coin, which is just a string of code, what stops me from sending that exact same code to you and to someone else at the exact same millisecond?
You need a clock to definitively prove which transaction happened first.
Right. And Szabo tried to build one using Byzantine quorums, basically trying to get a decentralized network of anonymous computers to vote on what time it was. But he couldn't get it to work without relying on a central server.
And a central server would just be another trusted third party.
Another security hole. He refused to compromise the logic, so he waited.
Fast forward to 2008. The financial crisis is destroying global trust, and Satoshi Nakamoto drops the Bitcoin white paper.
Solving the exact problem Szabo was stuck on. Satoshi didn't build an external clock. Satoshi made the blockchain itself the clock.
Okay, host B demanding proof here. Explain the math. How does the code enforce this?
It's all in the difficulty adjustment algorithm. The formula in the briefing is new difficulty equals old difficulty multiplied by actual time divided by target time.
Make that real for me. What is the target time?
2016 blocks every 2 weeks. Or, on average, exactly 10 minutes per block. That is the unyielding heartbeat of the network.
So what happens if a bunch of massive supercomputers suddenly join the network and try to mine faster?
The actual time drops to, say, 5 minutes. The protocol instantly detects this. It runs that mathematical formula and automatically makes the cryptographic puzzle twice as hard.
It fights back against human efficiency.
It ruthlessly defends its own scarcity.
And the raw data on this is terrifyingly impressive. The text cites that in 2024, the network hash rate hit 733 exahashes per second.
An exahash is a quintillion calculations per second.
And the briefing projects it will hit 950 exahashes by 2026. They call it an impregnable fortress.
Because it is. The sheer physical energy required to rewrite that ledger is astronomically high. You cannot bribe a math equation. You cannot subpoena thermodynamics.
Okay, so we've established the fortress, but why does the listener need to understand this today? The briefing outlines two massive horror scenarios for people trapped in the traditional system.
And we need to be clear. We are strictly analyzing the source's arguments here. But their logic is brutal. They call the first scenario erasable data fragments.
This part legitimately gave me chills.
Because it's already happening. The authors argue that the numbers sitting in your bank app, your traditional brokerage accounts, you think they are tangible wealth.
But they're just switches.
They are centralized database entries controlled by third parties. If a state decides you are non-compliant, or if there's a systemic banking failure, a single line of administrative code can zero out your life savings.
And the text backs this up with a massive metric. In 2024, global banking litigation and risk management costs hit 2.6 trillion euros.
2.6 trillion. That is the cost of trying to plug the security holes of human trust. The system is literally crumbling under the weight of its own friction.
Which leads to their second scenario, the state's proposed solution to this crumbling trust. Central bank digital currencies, CBDCs.
The ultimate weaponization of smart contracts.
The briefing uses a very specific phrase for CBDCs. They call them digital ration coupons.
Right, because governments will market them as fast, programmable money. But programmable means programmable by the issuer, not by the math.
So instead of computational logic protecting your property, it's used to surveil it.
Exactly. The source argues that a CBDC panopticon would allow authorities to freeze your assets based on political compliance. They could put an expiration date on your money to force you to spend it.
It's the vending machine logic inverted. If citizen attends unapproved protest, then freeze wallet.
Precisely. It strips away the fundamental right to own the fruits of your own labor. You become entirely dependent on state benevolence.
So knowing all this, looking at how perfectly Szabo's theories map onto Bitcoin's actual code, we have to ask the question the briefing raises. Is Nick Szabo actually Satoshi Nakamoto?
The intelligence report weighs the counterarguments heavily. They look at the linguistic analysis by Jola and Associates.
Right. The phrasing, the specific syntax Szabo used in the 90s, matches the Bitcoin white paper closer than anyone else.
And there's the transaction data. Satoshi's very first outbound transaction went to Hal Finney. The wallet address Satoshi sent it from started with the characters 1NS.
One Nick Szabo.
Right. It's a massive anomaly.
But wait, if he is Satoshi, why did he leave BitGold unfinished for years?
Yeah.
Why post on forums in 2008 begging for help to code a prototype just months before Bitcoin launched?
The briefing calls it legalistic caution. Remember his background. He was a legal scholar obsessively focused on eliminating third-party liability.
So he wouldn't launch a centralized version?
Never. He refused to introduce a security hole. The text implies he was waiting for the perfect macroeconomic catalyst. The 2008 financial crisis provided the exact psychological shock needed for the public to accept a trustless system.
He waited until the world was burning to hand us the fire extinguisher.
Essentially, yes.
That brings us in the core takeaway for you, the listener. We've gone through the data, we've looked at the failure of human trust, the cost of the banking intermediation tax, and the undeniable mathematical physical force of the Bitcoin network.
You have to look at your own assets and ask what is actually defending them.
Exactly. But there's one thought I want to leave you with, building on the source material. If Szabo's if-then logic completely replaces the human element in our financial lives, what happens to human forgiveness?
That's the trade-off.
It really is. When our entire reality is governed by the cold, unyielding physics of code, where a contract executes flawlessly no matter your personal circumstances, do we gain absolute security at the cost of our own humanity? Something to seriously think about the next time you swipe a piece of plastic.
The logic doesn't blink.
So it's either centralized numbers that can be deleted or Szabo's protocol that cannot be broken?
Physics doesn't negotiate. The arc is the code. Recording ends now.